If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
He may be the most underrated player in the league.
I totally agree.
He could be the most underrated guy in the league.
As a fan in a city where they're passionate, they see, well, he can't win the big game. And
so is he a Hall of Famer all of a sudden or no?
I don't think he is, but I think he's close. I think he's only 32. People say, oh, he's done. He's had injuries, but the guy's only 32. That's when guys enter their prime. So all these people who are writing him off and want to run him out of Philly are crazy. You don't run a guy out who's that good, who if he had another big receiver, if he had a Larry Fitzgerald type.
Well, if T.O. hadn't been a knucklehead, they might have won a Super Bowl.
You're probably right. If T.O. hadn't been a knucklehead, he would have won. And, they don't have a big back. Brian Westbrook's this little guy who just keeps making plays, and they keep relying on him. But for a team that's easy to figure out how to stop, they still win games, even though everybody knows how to stop this team. And that's what's amazing.
Tony, where do you rank Philly of sports towns? And I know it may not be easy for you to judge it.
If it's not one, it's top 2 or 3. I mean, Boston, New York, Philly, to me, are the 3 best sports towns in America.
What separates them? Is there something tangible you can say, this is the difference between them?
Well, New York, because of the sheer volume of people and the number of fans and the Yankees' history of winning. The Phillies don't have a history of winning. Philadelphia is always thought upon as, well, they want to be New York, but they're not. They're a small city. It's like Baltimore and Washington and Philly. We're all in that, well, we're not New York. Boston had the long history of losing, and then the Patriots got good and started winning, and then the Red Sox got good and started winning, and now the Celtics are good again. So I think
the Bruins.
And the Bruins. So yeah. So I think the passion of the fans, Boston, Philly, New York, probably Baltimore to a lesser degree. I don't know if are they as wild, because I've never really worked local Baltimore.
I think in Baltimore it's all Raven mania at this point, and that's bred from what a good franchise they've been, what a good guy Brian Billick was, what a good guy John Harbaugh is, what a great player Ray Lewis has been, John Ogden. I mean, that team is given to the community in almost as close to a modern day way as you could the Colts. I mean, they really have replaced that with players, with guys who live in the community, who do the right thing and around, where the Orioles are they don't only just suck, they're non-existent. Their owner's completely gone Howard Hughes. I mean, no one's laid eyes on Peter Angelos, right, in well over a year. When's the last time Peter has said anything publicly, even one of those lap dances with, Denise Koch over Channel 13? 3 years. It's been years since Peter Angelos has spoken to anybody, and Bisciotti and even Art Modell just roll through the hallways and talk to people, and they're out in the community. That matters in Baltimore. Man, I don't know what the Eagles do in Philadelphia. I don't even know what matters. I don't know what the Phillies have done on the back end of their championship. I mean, I don't know what Chase Utley does on a Tuesday night in off season, but I tell you what, the Orioles do nothing. They do absolutely nothing, and that's why the fans have gravitated to the purple. Right. So it's a one-horse town, and I think maybe when you talk about, I think New York's its own animal. Because there's so many teams in New York.
Right.
I mean, St. John's, right? I mean, the Islanders, the Nets. Who the hell cares about any of them? They don't have real fans. Somebody paints their face up for the Nets. But I think Rangers, Knicks, and they both have been god-awful for a pretty good time. Mets are kind of the second. But in Philly and Boston, everybody's on the same train, right? In New York, it's split. Even in L.A., it's split for all sorts of franchises. But Philly and Boston are probably the best sports towns because they're all galvanized. Well, the other thing about Philly and Boston, Tony will know this, growing up there, you've got an unbelievable following of local college basketball in Philly, and you have an unbelievable following of local college Drew hockey. Went up to the Palestra a couple weeks ago and just,
But
you got college hockey in Boston that you can't get a ticket for. And you have the Drexel versus St. Joe, you can't get a ticket for. I mean, they both have their own little, not cult following, but people want to go watch sports in Philly. People want to go watch sports in Boston. And it doesn't really matter really what it is, as long as it's in Boston.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.